Hello, welcome back to Stat 3050. Online, having a great time. We're having a great time because we're not doing any math. We're not doing any stats or coding or anything in this video. I'm just going to real quick talk about the data for the final project. Okay, so a lot of the time, the data that we work with in class is super organized, very clean. We don't have to do much to it, right? In this case, though, that's not what's happening. The data is fairly unorganized. The data are not very clean because of a few things, right? The biggest thing here, and this is real data, and I've barely done anything to it, so just keep that in mind too. Kind of scary. But the biggest thing here is that it was collected by a bunch of different people. I think 5 or 6 people were working on it, and they had more people entering the data, and blah, 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 right? So many things, right? A lot of loose ends, right? So you'll notice that right now it doesn't look too bad, right? We have this weird column here. That's just separating. If you read the document for the final project, you'll know that weight here is the outcome, right? So they just did that to denote, I guess, the separation. I'm not really sure. But then when you start looking a little bit closer, you'll notice that there's some pretty funky stuff going on, right? The first thing, right, when you read it in, you have these two cells that are just the notes. These are just telling you what the spreadsheet is, right? Which is fine. Bear data from Wyoming / Montana, Teton Yellowstone area, right? That's fine. A lot of people do that. But when you read it into R, it's going to cause some issues. But again, you can fix that pretty easy. You can delete it here. You can delete it in R, whatever, all right? But let's kind of take a closer look at just a few of these things. In fact, we'll just take it one column at a time, just so we can kind of see the smaller pictures first. So this ID is just identification number. There were a few bears that were measured more than once. So that's where you see those duplicates or triplets or whatever. That's just saying that the bear was measured more than once at a different time. Which is fine in this case. So nothing too big there. The observation number, same thing, right? It's just telling you when the bear was measured. And then we have this ... na.me. That's just supposed to be name, right? Again, I did not do this. This is the way that it came to me. And this is just denoting the different names of the bears, right? And again, you'll see duplicates and more than 2 because they were measured at a different time point. Okay. Age here is measured in months, not years. It's measured in months. And this is all fine. That's an all right unit to measure in. However, this is really frustrating because the convention, a good convention, if you don't know the name, if you don't know the value of something, right? These are all estimates for the age, right? But if you couldn't estimate or you just didn't keep track, you should just leave it blank, right? But in this case, they put in a bunch of zeros for that. Now, you can go in and figure out how you want to kind of tackle that issue. I know what I would do. You probably would do the same thing. You might not do the same thing, and that's fine. But just note that is what's going on there. There's also a couple other things in there that make it a little difficult to work with as well. I'll let you find that out on your own. Moving on, this column here is just the sex of the bear, where 1 is male and then 2 is female. You'll find that there might be a typo in there. Sometimes you get people that are not on the same page and they'll write male or female rather than the code. We know that R can work with either. We know that R can work with the characters in there having the 2 different levels, right? So male or female actually written out. We're also used to seeing when there's a column that represents a categorical variable, right? But it's just full of 1s and 0s instead of 1s and 2s. I'll let you figure out how to deal with that too. The next thing to note are these 4 columns here. These are all fairly decent, except you'll notice a few things. The biggest thing is that some of these are rounded off way far out, while some of them aren't. That's not so much of the issue, but You'll also know that if you read the document for the final project, some of these are in the metric system and some of them aren't. And we got to put them all into the metric system. So you got to deal with that too somehow, okay? I'll let you read all about that on your own so you don't have to hear me talk all the time. This column here is just separating the outcome weight. So that's something you got to deal with too. And then, oh shoot, we forgot to put in chest girth in there. We had it in a different spreadsheet. Just throw it in there wherever. And they just threw it in here at the very end, right? I'm not quite sure the units on that one too. That's in the document as well, that you may or may not have to manipulate. Okay, that's not all, but that's all that I'm going to tell you for now, because there's a few other things in here that are kind of annoying that you will have to fix. Now, with that being said, you can fix it however you want, right? So long that you tell me what you do. So if you go into Excel itself, like into this spreadsheet, and go in and hand pick all the ones, you can do that. That's super tedious, whatever. You can also read this thing into R as is and then manipulate it in the code. That's totally fine too. You might have to learn a couple of new functions here and there. Nothing that's too crazy. Now, that's the other thing too, is that the stuff that's in here that needs fixing can be done in either relatively easily. If you do it in R, that'll take some time to look up the correct function to replace values. But again, however you do it doesn't matter to me, so long that you get it done correctly. And tell me what you do. So, with all that, there's a real quick video. You're welcome. But if you have any questions, let me know. And I will see ya. I guess I'll just see you when I see you. All right.